Okay. My book's all over. Hello, I'm Bookface. Now buckle up, furries and monster family friendly lovers. Happy Halloween. Today we're talking about
the werewolf.
Now this one's actually a bit simpler than the last couple ones, but also a lot more scatterbrained, if I'm being honest. And with that out of the way, let's jump right in. Woo! So, we're talking about the werewolf. But what does that mean? What's the philosophy? The term werewolf simply means man-wolf in ye olde English, which is harder to read as an English-speaking person than some foreign languages that I don't speak. Old English people are weird. They got a lot of issues beyond just that, but you know. Now, a lot of the typical view of werewolves originates from the depictions from the Middle Ages. From the geniuses who brought you the chameleon, the crocodile, and most importantly, an oyster. You know, those wonderful artists. Now, in the original myth, the idea of a werewolf was a person who could turn into a wolf. And you might think, hey, but that's the same thing. That's always been like that. But I mean more like from this to this, and with none of this. Also, I just realized, I say the original myths, but I don't really say much on what the original myths were. Unlike the vampire and the zombie, werewolves have stayed pretty much the same. So the idea of lycanthropy, being a werewolf, was often seen as a curse that was put on somebody by a scratch or a bite from another werewolf. Kinky. Also, where would that originate? You see, this is always giving me a chicken and the egg kind of thing of like, okay, but if that's how a werewolf is made, how did the first one get made? You can't have a werewolf bite it if werewolves don't exist yet. Where is the progenitor of werewolves? Where is it? I must know. Where is she? Though in some beliefs, the transformation could also be incurred willingly by putting on a magic wolf skin, or just in general, or maybe a nice fashionable wolf skin belt, or by a magic ointment of some kind, perfect for exfoliating and exterminating. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe. I don't know. For legal reasons, I can't say. Now, werewolves in old Middle Ages beliefs were often related to witchcraft in some way. And because of this, the history of werewolves in that culture had a very similar effect to the history of witches in that culture, which, yeah, it went about as well as you can expect. In history, there were often real-world attacks from actual wolves that would be applied to a werewolf. And there were even people accused and legally convicted of being a werewolf. People got death sentence for this. That's the real scary thing of this video. I mean, granted, some of them were legit serial killers who just thought they were a werewolf. But the charge of being a werewolf is very iffy one at best for a legal counsel. Objection! Okay, so back to the origins of werewolves. Now, the general Middle Ages European idea of a werewolf is what closest links to the modern werewolf. But where did that come from? Now, normally I'd just say, I don't know, man, weirdos. Furries. Any myth and folklore is just the furries having fun with people. Haven't you seen Egypt? All their gods are furries. Hot take on that. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, right. Werewolves. So a lot of people trace back the Middle Ages European werewolf myths to a Greek myth. And sometimes werewolves are also called lycanthropes. And, the general werewolfism is often referred to as lycanthropy. It's a term I used earlier. I have proof. Objection. I don't know. I don't know, man. And the specific Greek myth that brought this on is Lycaon. Lycaon. Lincoln Logs. Lycaon was the king of Arcadia, and he decided that, what would be a great idea? Let's test the gods. That always goes well. So he wanted to see if Zeus was actually omniscient, all-knowing and all. And he decided to do this in the worst way possible by all standards ever. What are you doing? He did this by killing one of his sons and feeding him to Zeus to see if he'd notice. Insert meme here. Now, Zeus found out pretty quick. And then something incredibly rare in Greek myth happened. Zeus actually made a good decision in punishing Lycaon. The way he punished him is by turning Lycaon into a wolf, then killing the rest of his children. I mean, he brought back the one who had been killed before, but it seems a little counterproductive there. I mean, you punish the murderer for killing his child, but then you kill the rest of his children. They're yeah, that'll show you. Also, in your punishment, which could have easily just been smite or send him down to the underworld to have some Sisyphus kind of thing, you were let's turn him into one of the biggest monsters of the modern day. So I guess Zeus keeps his track record of being the worst. I will also say something I noticed from this myth is it doesn't really say anything about lycanthropes, just Lycaon, and it doesn't say he's a shapeshifter, it just says he got turned into a wolf, and doesn't really leave much for the interpretation of, oh yeah, lycanthropes are a thing now. You know, the first one was Lycaon, but then, I don't know, he made more of them. I gotta check on something. Sorry, just hearing weird sounds. I might be crazy. And speaking of crazy, awesome segue. So there's this psychological condition called clinical lycanthropy. Imagine you go to the hospital and you're like, oh, what the doctor say? Well, I got diagnosed with being a werewolf disease. Now, clinical lycanthropy is the delusion of someone believing that they are transforming into an animal, usually a wolf. Dang. Pop culture. Now, big shock, it's associated with psychosis and also changes in behavior, such as imitating stuff like animals do, scratching, growling, howling. Jimmy, stop humping my leg. And it's been related to the problem of somebody being able to identify the shape of their own body. So you could either just, get body issues, which is, serious thing, or you're like, hey, what if I'm a werewolf? Both bad options, but actually, I don't have a butt. I have no butt. Where's my butt? And along with the psychological, there's a physical condition called hypertrichosis, which is often believed to be somewhat related to the myth of the werewolf. I'm going to be honest, I actually thought this one was the one called clinical lycanthropy, not the psychological one, but turns out I'm wrong, so... Now, there's probably a bunch that goes into this condition, but quite simply means you're really hairy. And this, manifests in one of two ways, with one being localized to a single area of your body. Maybe you just got just one really hairy leg. And the other form was spread over the entire body. So you are covered in hair. Now, you could be born with this condition, or you could get it later in life. And apparently, sometimes people with this condition got jobs as circus freaks, being advertised as sort of man-beast things. And that's just... That's unfortunate. I don't have any clever commentary. It's just very sad and exploitative circus freak shows in general. I'm sad now. Moving on. Now, it can be caused by a very rare genetic defect. Also, side note, there's a form of it called terminal hypertrichosis. And I was like, oh my god, you can get haired to death. And I got this terrible body horror image of hair like growing out of the body and in the body and just killing you like that. Just inside and out, just hair grows out of you. It's just, ugh. But no, that's not what it means. It means that you grow terminal hairs, which are the thicker hairs you get in puberty. So I don't know, it just means you're hairy. It means you've got darker hair. And also hypertrichosis can also occur as a result of drug side effects, eating disorders, and cancer. So now we look at the modern werewolf, which granted is probably the most similar to ye old werewolf compared to the zombie and the vampire. It's actually very similar to its ye old counterpart, but with some notable details. And since werewolves are very common, there are some very accepted details on werewolves that are repeated very frequently. And interestingly enough, unlike vampires and zombies, which often have different rules almost every time they show up, werewolves stay pretty consistent. Now, most werewolves take a humanoid wolf kind of form and are, forced to transform at the full moon, no longer being able to transform at will and not turning into a full wolf, turning into a werewolf. In modern culture, they're believed to basically be solely weak to silver and are usually just completely uninjured by literally anything else. Like, drop a nuke on that thing, it's like, oh, but it's not a silver nuke, so I'm fine. And sometimes this can even go to the point that even just contact with silver burns, which is, wow, really liking that silver. Now, over time, the story changed very largely of the werewolf, which is one thing that is very notable. Where in ye old myths, it was almost always some malevolent act to intentionally turn into a wolf and, I don't know, kill people, kill livestock, just run around naked in the woods, I don't know. Where now it's almost solely a curse or a genetic condition or something like that people have no control of. And they're put in a sort of sympathetic light often, like given some position of they don't want to hurt people, they just do. This change pretty much takes away any agency from the werewolf, making them mindless animals that hunt purely on instinct. And so any damage they cause usually in modern folklore, you almost feel bad for them because they don't know what they're doing. Where in the past, if a werewolf goes out, bites somebody, that's on them. They did that. But in modern day, oh, they can't help it. He's a werewolf. Also common in modern werewolf media is that even in human form, there is an increase of strength and power and sometimes senses, and they may even act more animalistic in human form as well, sort of reflecting their werewolfy side. Whew. Okay, that was a big script. So there we know a little more on werewolves. Like I said, pretty pretty standard through and through. But yeah, with all that out of the way, happy Halloween, stay safe, stay spooky. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, comment down below, and subscribe. Check out my other Halloween specials, which are a little more in-depth than this one. This one kind of meandered a bit, but those ones, oof, the research I had to do on those ones, my God. And with all that, no, that's not how I do that outro. And I'll see you I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye!